we have Abbadini from the University of Lebanon, and he will be telling us about Jónsson-Tarski duality of the dimensions.
And there's an introduction. This is a joint work with Vietoris, and it's about a continuous version of modal logic. Propositional modal logic extends classical propositional logic by adding a linear or box that is usually interpreted as necessity in appropriate rules. And the algebras related to modal logics are modal algebras, which are Boolean algebras with a linear operator box that distributes over finite bits. So box of x with y equals box of x box of y, and box of y equals 1. Now, what I want to focus on is that both axioms are identities. So we have an equation between terms, universally quantified. So modal algebras form a variety of algebras, so an equational class, and these are classes of algebras that have very good structural property, like they are built under homomorphic images, subalgebras, products. They are complete, they have all three algebras. And so the main question is whether an appropriate continuous version of modal logic can be axiomatized by equations, and so enjoy all these structural properties that also modal algebras have. By continuous, roughly speaking, I mean substituting the two-element proof, the set of proof values with a unit interval. But now, to make the question precise, the plan is to use a bit of duality theory, right? So we have modal algebras, which are equational. We want to say something about continuous modal algebras, but since it's not immediately clear what these are, we use duality. So modal algebras are dual to descriptive frames, which are certain structures based on stone spaces. And now it's quite clear what the continuous version of stone spaces are. So these are compact Howard spaces. And so we get a corresponding notion of, let me call this called Vietoris coalgebras instead of descriptive frames. And then the question becomes whether the dual of Vietoris coalgebras can be axiomatized by equations. Okay. So let's talk some more about the duality. This classical duality called Jónsson-Tarski duality. Oh, anyway, this can be seen also as a contribution to a certain investigation, which many contributors probably are Hoffman, Neves, and Nora, of how much algebraic the duals of certain categories of spaces are. Okay, so topological semantics of modal logic. We need to introduce the notion of Vietoris hyperspace. So this is something that can be defined for any compact Howard space X. We take the set of closed subset of X, and we once I keep it with the Vietoris topology. Now this, I'm not going to recall the definition of Vietoris topology. I'll give just an example. If we take the compact Hausdorff space of the real interval 0, 1. Okay, the Vietoris hyperspace is a space of closed subset of it, and what we know that topology can be either described, can be also described by the convergence of nets. So let's see a sequence of closed subsets of 0, 1. We can take the interval 1/2, 1, then second element of the sequence 1/4, 1/2, and then 1/8, 1/4, and so on. And so maybe also your intuition suggests what is the closed subset that should be the limit of this sequence. And if your intuition suggests you that the limit should be the symmetry 0, then this is in accordance with what Vietoris had. So the Vietoris topology is a certain topology of closed subsets such that in this particular example, this sequence of subsets converges to zero, the synthetsis to zero. And so Jónsson-Tarski duality is a representation of modal algebras via descriptive frames. It's a duality. A descriptive frame is a stone space together with a continuous function from X to the Vietoris hyperspace of X. Recall that a stone space is a compact outer space that is zero-dimensional. So this means that it has a basis of closed open sets. And yeah, continuous function from X to V of X means that to every element of X, you associate a certain closed subset of X. And this association is continuous. So if you have a net of elements of X convergent to some Y, then also the closed subsets associated to it converge to the closed subset of the limit. Okay, now that we have defined where we call the Jónsson-Tarski duality, we can go beyond dimension 0. Okay, by dimension 0, the descriptive frames can be replaced by what in this talk we call Vietoris coalgebras. And these are pairs, X row with X. Now it's not anymore a stone space, but a compact Hausdorff space. And the row from X to V of X is a continuous function. And so we just took the definition of the descriptive frame, and instead of having a stone space, we get a compact outer space. So an example of a Vietoris coalgebra is a compact outer space. We take the unit interval 0, 1, and as a continuous function to the Vietoris hyperspace, we can take, for example, the map that maps X to the interval x1. This is continuous, essentially because if I have a net converging to y, then also the intervals xi1 converge to y1. This is something that we'll do by topology. There's also a natural notion of morphism. Morphism from x row x to y row y is a continuous function from x to y that makes a certain diagram to use. And so our main result is a positive answer to the question whether a continuous version of modal logic is equational. Now, informally, if we allow function symbols of infinite variety, then continuous modal logic is equational. More formally, this means that the category of Vietoris coalgebras is dually equivalent to a variety of infinitary algebras. So can be described by equations. And now it's actually necessary to have infinitary operations because the category of Vietoris coalgebras is not dually equivalent to any first order class of first order defined, any elementary class. And actually we use several results that actually put together, essentially give this theorem. And let's see just an example of a variety of algebras that is dual to this category of Vietoris coalgebras. We can describe it in this way. Okay. So we need language and axioms. And we're not concerned really giving a short or finite axiomatization. So we take a very big language, namely for every countable cardinal, we take any continuous function from 0, 1 to the kappa to 0, 1 as a function symbol of our identifier. So for example, if you take the binary minimum and maximum, these become binary function symbols. And there are many others, also the infinitary, countablearity. And then you add a unary box. And then equations, you add, well, many equations. Yeah, it sounds to take all equations that are holding 0, 1 in a certain sense. Yeah, conjecture that actually you can give a finite equational axiomatization, still using some operation of infinitarity, but we weren't, we didn't address this fact. We just had this abstract result. So instead of giving you all the axioms, I tell you what is the algebraic interpretation of these algebras. Since this is a duality, the algebras are all the algebras that arise from some Vietoris coalgebra. So if you take a Vietoris coalgebra X row, the corresponding algebra will be the set of continuous functions from x to 0, 1 in the unit interval. And now we have to interpret all the operations. So we have all these continuous functions from some 0, 1 to the capital 0, 1, and these are interpreted pointwise. So, for example, the minimum is interpreted pointwise, so it gives an infimum of 2 continuous functions. And now we have to interpret the box, and we take an element of our algebra, so a continuous function from x to 0, 1, and box of g maps an element little x to the infimum for y belonging to row x, we call that this is a closed subset of x of g of y. As an example, let's take a specific Vietoris algebra over the unit interval 0, 1. The same that I gave you before. We map a little x to the closed interval x1. And now, if you take an element of the algebra, so a continuous function from 0, 1 to 0, 1, in this case, the box of the g is this one red, and it's the greatest or the preserving function that is below g, because it maps x to the infimum of all y over all y greater than x of g of y. Okay, so as a corollary of our result, we get some intrinsic information about the category of coalgebra, of Vietoris coalgebras, that you always have when you have some category that is monadic per set. And namely, it's complete and incomplete. This was kind of known already. It's bar dual exact, so meaning that the dual is bar exact, and also has an object that has very good properties. Namely, this object is the dual of the free one-generated algebra. It's a regular injective, regular cogenerator. So in particular, every Vietoris algebra embeds into a power of this object. Yeah, just mention that we obtain analogous results also for the lower, the upper and convex Vietoris hyperspaces. So certain variations of the Vietoris construction, where instead of compact hyperspaces, it takes simply compact spaces. Yeah, so we strengthen a theorem by Hoffman and Espinosa, which was actually the starting point of our investigation, because they proved that the dual of the category of coalgebras for the lower Vietoris functor in steady compact spaces is an F1 quasi-variety. And what we did was, okay, we can actually prove that it's a variety, so we strengthen this result. And then we did the same for the more classical case of compact outer spaces and all the other variations of Vietoris matter spaces. So to sum up, so if you allow function singles of infinitary, continuous modal logic is equation. So more precisely, this means that the category of Vietoris coalgebras is dual equivalent to a variety of infinitary algebras. So this is based on this work with Algebraic in archive. And thank you for being here and for your attention.
Thanks for your time. We have time for a few questions. Please.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with the definition of descriptive frames where you have an accessibility relation rather than the function.
Yeah.
Can you do the same thing for the Vietoris coalgebras as well? Like, is it essentially like you can, rather than being a function, you can say there's a relation and it has the normal properties?
Yeah. Yes, you. Okay. Yes. So the way we can translate the two definitions. Actually, Abbadini and Hardy define a modal compact Hilbert space as a compact Hilbert space with a relation of it that satisfies two properties. And the connection is that, so if I have a coalgebra, then I define a relation, let's say, little x is a relation with y if y belongs to row of x. And then,
Thank you.
Do you have any more?
So I was wondering any intuition for what it means to be var coexact. Like, how do we?
no.
I mean, I'm not even sure how to think of a dual or an equivalence relation.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Thanks. Yeah, good question.
I'm curious for the main theorem you mentioned that you use some work of some high-powered algebraic topologies like modal names. So yeah, so I'm wondering.
This one.
Yeah, element of Chris modal name.
Yeah.
Algebraic topologists. So I'm wondering what piece of the work you use.
Yeah, so I'm not sure whether they did this for the first time, but I found this fact that there are sufficient conditions for when two monadic functors, the composition of two monadic functors is monadic.
Oh, I see. So it's an abstract categorical example that you
Exactly. So, yeah.